Welcome to the Support SIGs meeting with the very provocative title of, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably at the menu. Who came just based on that title? Oh, I love you. Thank you. I'm Anya Arnold, and I'm at the Support SIG convener, co-convener. Deborah Howe is also my co-convener. And then with us today, we have Stuart, Jaleh, Robert, and Charlotte. And then myself, Charlotte, Tom, and Robert will be speaking, but we're all kind of here and online. And then folks, members of the Support SIG that are attending remotely will also help answer questions on the chat. All right. Okay. All right. So open source software is different than vended software, right? This should not be a big shock to you. But how do y'all think it's different? Shout it out. I love it when people interrupt. So how do you think?
Shared agreement on priorities.
Oh, shared agreement on priorities. That's a good one.
Shared disagreement on priorities.
Or shared disagreement. I'm just repeating you for the audience.
Community written documentation.
Community written documentation, both good and bad. What else?
Community investment.
Community investment in general.
Cost shifting.
Cost shifting.
Transparency.
Transparency. Nice.
Some assembly required.
Some assembly required. All right. Anything else that's different about open source rather than vended supported? Let's think about how support works, how after you're live works. What are some differences? We have a chat. Oh, works better and cheaper. Nice. All right. What else? What happens with a vended supported system in the areas of calling your support, for calling for help? How do you get help?
You don't.
Oh, you don't.
Being very squeaky.
Being very squeaky. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? What else?
You're not tied to one vendor for support.
You're not tied to one vendor to support. Cool. What else? Yeah. It's the vendor's priority, not yours. That's right. Thank you. So, all right. Users of an open source ILS have more responsibility and ownership of the system that they are using, which means they have to actively participate if they want something to change. When you read that, or when I read it to you, how did you feel? Who's uncomfortable right now? It's okay. They're laughing uncomfortably in the room.
I think it's empowering, but also daunting.
Empowering and daunting.
Just like a democracy, right? I think ownership and participation.
Yeah, if you want to say you have to participate, those that participate make the rules, right? Yes, we're having head nods. What else? What happens if you don't participate in your open source community?
You don't get to complain.
You don't get to complain. Or do you? What happens if you don't participate in your vendor community?
The vendor probably loves it.
The vendor loves it. What else? What else? We're getting a chat. Oh, a couple. The vendors' profits go up because you're costing them nothing. Love that, Chuck. Thank you. Okay. So it means really that everyone that is here at WOLFcon and online that is attending WOLFcon needs to be active. And what does that mean? Well, you're here, you're financially supporting FOLIO, right? You show up to SIGs, you participate in creating documentation, you implement the software, right? That's a big step, right? But you also have a responsibility of maintaining it and helping prioritize bugs and decisions. And it can be a little daunting, right? Right? You are homeowners. You are not renters, right? When I'm a renter, I got to say, hey, project management company, my water's not working. Fix it now, right? But now I'm a homeowner and we have rot on one of our base boards in our house. The whole back section of my house has no siding at this point. It's coming out of my pocketbook. So that's what it means to be a member of an open source community. A healthy community also means healthy activity. So in order to change, fix, enhance FOLIO, there has to be participation in the community. And the most important place to me, because I'm a convener of the support SIG, is for you to participate in support in the product council, in the community council, in the implementer SIG. Notice I said support first, because that's what I did here. But if you want to know like the health of the community, to see how quickly the bugs are being fixed, to know what's going on at other institutions, to see where people are struggling the most and where their most wins are, you want to come to the support SIG. So if you do not participate, who can you blame? The government. I heard the government. Whoever said that, I needed that. So thank you. So really, if you do not participate in the community and something is wrong, if your staff are struggling, if they're dying by 1,000 cuts of a workflow, it's because there's not enough participation. There's not enough voices behind that to get it going. There's not enough POs to support it. There's not enough documentation to help flesh out how you're supposed to do it. Okay. So what does the support SIG do? Charlotte, I believe this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
So after this pep talk to kind of address the responsibility by all of you, then I'm here to talk a bit about what do we do. And there will be, we meet once a week and we have meetings that is often it's super fast. So it does not necessarily be 60 minutes. Sometimes it is 60 minutes, but we are a group and we have been a kind of a steady group the past 3 years or so with some new additions, and we could really need some more people. So all who has implemented FOLIO and are dealing with bugs in your system, and come and help us, come write up these tickets, and then we can get it fixed, because we are your ambassadors. So let me see. So I am gonna show you our core tool. It is the support dashboard. Everyone has access to it. So if you right now are in Australia and cannot attend our Monday meeting, then you can always go in and double check here at the dashboard and can see what tickets are we working on right now and are in progress. So, and what we do is that we go in and we always start with a ticket to, if it is to be decided, the priority. No one has put a priority on that given ticket, then the support SIG go in and we then add a priority. And again, we use the same priority as other tickets. We use P1 for if it's really critical, P2 if it is critical, but it's not a showstopper. You can still check in for your patrons. P3 if it is a medium, P4 that's low priority. So, and we go very systematic through these tickets. And right now I will just show you another ticket. Let's see if I can make this work. So typical, all the tickets captured in the support SIG dashboard is found by the support label. And if your library has found an issue with your environment, and you also verify that you can see this in one of our FOLIO reference environments, you do not know what, because we have 50 or 60 different Jira key project numbers. So you do not need to struggle between, is this a UI inventory? Is it a mod search ticket? Whatever is it? You just can file a sub ticket, sub 109, and then you just fill in, there is a template. So you get kind of, you just fill in the template in the description. Yeah, and don't worry too much, because it's much better to get the ticket filed so we can get it into the system than being worried this is probably not described good enough, etc. So file a sub-ticket and then give it the support label. You can see it up in the top. Then it will come on our dashboard, and then the support SIG can take over. And we do not let a ticket go until it is solved. So we are kind of like a little, sometimes we annoy also POs, because we are on the ticket and we ask what's the status, and we ask why is this ticket put to draft, and why doesn't it have a release date? You know, we are a little bit, but that's only because we are doing our job as your ambassadors. So let me get back to the dashboard here. Yes. So what we do when we go over the tickets is that we then, if there's some support sub-tickets filed, then we move them over to the correct Jira project. So the development team who owns it will then be notified. We there's a data entry field for assigning the development team. We do that. We go over the tick description and make sure that we identify the affected libraries. And in many cases, it is all. So, and then we put in a priority if it was one of these to be decided. But that priority, we always, then we put in a comment and says that this support SIG has discussed this. We have given it a P2. And then product owner, do you agree? And it will be the product owner's say, because we don't have experience with everything. So if we have put in a P2 and the product owner lower it to a P3, that's what we accept. And then I have one more sample ticket here I want to show you, because this is then a ticket where we have the right Jira key project. And in this case, you can see it is, we have the development team, we have the release scheduled, and And it is, in this case, here it has, it's a newly created ticket. But if this was a month from now and there was, nothing really happening, no comments between POs, developers, then we start asking questions here, because it is released for Puppy, and Puppy has feature freeze day October 6th. So we know, okay, now you probably need to pick it up if it's gonna make it. And let me, so when we set the priorities, then we also take into consideration, is it patron facing? Has it anything, does it prevent daily work? Does it involve money? If it involves money, and some POs are having apps who always involves money, for instance, Dennis's orders apps, so then it gets more critical. And if it affects all libraries, that will also indicate this has got to have a higher priority. And if we have seen that this was scheduled for Puppy, later moved to Orchid, and it's still not really, nothing is happening. It's looking like it's hanging. Then we can bump it up to a higher priority, and again we will inform the PO. Now we have bumped it up. And when we are, if we don't know out of our head who would be the responsible PO, then we go in and check the FOLIO module matrix. A couple of years ago, we worded that for each of the development teams, 40% of their time should be dedicated to bug fixes. And we have lately discussed if we kind of think that is still the case, because sometimes it feels like bug fixes is not addressed that quickly. Thoughts, if you are struggling with, if you think that bugs are hanging too long and we have a problem around that, we are all ears. But we can maybe take it during the questions after. So we chase a ticket as long as it is in our support SIG dashboard. We also have experienced that sometimes we are asking the support SIG, right? Always support SIG, and then we tag the lead developer or the other who has been involved, and we ask questions. I also know that sometimes POs are drowning in Jira tickets. So we ask one more time 2 weeks later. We have not heard anything back. We ask one more time 2 weeks later, and maybe we still don't hear anything. So we have, in dialogue with the PC, we have decided on a new way. Let's see if I can get back to the dashboard here. So we have done a new pie chart where we can follow how many tickets a given development team has hanging, where we have pinged a couple of times, 3 times, 4 times, with no answer. And yeah, it's a new instrument, and you can say it's not that much, but we understand that things can drown in an email, but we also need to be your ambassador and follow these tickets. So just one more here, and here is a ticket where you can see the support SIG have asked. In this case, we ask and we get an answer, then we ask and we ask, and then we kind of then we get a comment from a user here. So it was necessary to introduce this pie chart, and I think that will help us to, because then every team can go in and see, okay, the support dashboard this week, do I have any things I need to catch up on? And I think that was my last slide. Then it's you.
Yep. So we have kind of covered this, but this is a kind of a concrete example of how we recommend, based on our experience of following this procedure week after week, how we recommend handling tickets yourselves. So first on the left is an example of approaching the community, the SIGs, the product owners, to make sure there's not an existing ticket covering that issue. That's, you know, we love seeing that happen in Slack, and it's really helpful to know that that work is being not redundant, not having to combine things back in and waste time of POs with things that are already in progress, one about the other. Also, as Charlotte mentioned, this idea of reproducing it is really important, especially in the community environment. Certainly, you'll want to reproduce it in your own. Sometimes it is just a matter of permissions and it works for one person, not another, and you can start that conversation of what's going on there. If you're unable to reproduce it in BugFest or the community monthly updated build or any of those, if you're not able to reproduce it there, then you'll probably want to contact your hosting provider and figure out if there's something on their end, maybe in the most recent upgrade, that is unique to your situation. But if you are seeing the same situation in community environments, then what we'd want to see is what are the steps that you took, what are the results you expected, what are the actual results. And it's really nice because if you go into Jira, this whole template is there saying, what are the steps? Where did you test it? But just so, especially anybody that's new to this process, know that you'll be guided in that and just can kind of follow that as a template. Once you've filled out some of this stuff, a little bit further down that screen will be the labels section. So if you do have some experience and you know which team it's related to, you can put that as one of the labels. But even if you do that, we do also want to see the support label so that it comes into our dashboard so we can triage it and get it in the right hands at the right time. Then we've kind of been telling you what to do for a little while here. We want you to tell us what we can do for you. I think we've got various perspectives of libraries that are implementing or have implemented. We've got product owners, we've got developers, we've got this whole range of perspectives. Maybe you're participating in other SIGs as well. Probably most people in the room have 3 or 4 of those things going on at once, so we understand that. But based on what you've heard about support SIG, based on your experience with tickets, with things being communicated certain ways or being addressed certain ways, is there anything you want us to know about how to handle things better, about how to make things work for you?
I should use.
I'll repeat what you say.
Okay, so I hear and agree with the call for participation, feel that responsibility quite intensely. The experience that I've had as an adopter, Michigan State implemented last summer. The migration process, which many of us in cataloging and tech services were involved with, was so all-consuming. And then we were in FOLIO, and the brain space for understanding the right channels, understanding the right protocols is like minimal to none. So I think a call for participation would get a better response with some really digestible, easy to consume, centralized instruction, not just about submitting a bug, for instance, a ticket, but like the structure of the FOLIO community and a lot of the software development pieces that are unfamiliar to those of us who don't work in that sphere. So there's a lot of terminology that I have picked up by osmosis, which I wish I had just sort of had an intro to from the beginning. This is a lot for you to repeat for the Zoom folks.
I'm taking notes.
So I think sort of a crash course in the folio community itself and all of the moving pieces, product council, product owners, how all of that works together, and then some hands-on skill building around this participation would, I expect, get you a bump in the involvement and community ownership we're looking for.
Great. So,
And maybe I'm missing some resources that already exist. So I apologize if I have, but.
okay. Yeah. So to repeat for Zoom, the discussion was about Michigan State and the challenge of this call to participate that we're offering, that they were so involved in implementation and they go live and there's not a clear kind of onboarding process into the community of who to talk to about what. Can we centralize kind of instructions around who in the community does what we need to know about product council versus technical council, product owners, and just having some general skills around doing that rather than having that expectation of I'm ready to participate because I'm using the software. That's not the full picture at once. So,
And if I could add one more specific thing, I have taught myself how to participate in WebFest, but that was quite overwhelming as well.
Yeah.
I'm a noob, I'm a lay person, so I think that's the audience that you can talk to.
great. So hand here first.
And I just want to add on to Autumn's idea about onboarding. One of our work groups, we want to recruit people, like maybe have a JIRA master, somebody who can create the JIRAs for us. That's the group. But I'm thinking, as far as onboarding, it would be great to have a tutorial for these SIGs or work groups or implementing libraries on how to search the JIRAs and how to actually add a JIRA. I know you showed the steps up there. They talked about the template and that kind of thing. But I think a training session of some sort to improve with onboarding would go a long way to help people feel more comfortable and creating tickets, searching tickets, help testing, etc.
Great. So yeah, just an extension of that, tutorials around searching, adding, potentially centralizing who is doing that. That's a great idea.
Just a comment. The onboarding group kind of is looking to reform during WOLFcon. So if you have ideas, come to lunch tomorrow actually. But I think I'm hearing a lot of things that should go into onboarding curriculums.
Right. And there'll be costs for participants.
And they'll be so congratulations.
And I just want to say there is a session. Is it Thursday morning about writing bug tickets?
Okay.
Let me see what it's called.
There we go. Big picture.
Parents.
So, just a couple of general comments. So, with regards to onboarding and your challenge. So, when we did our implementation, obviously, we were trying to start using the product, and we had training for EBSCO, and we had a certain bunch of SME, subject matter experts, produced working on that. But then I had the randoms. I call them the randoms because they weren't really totally connected to the product, but they're going to use it. I started getting these emails saying, hey, Terrence, you've done this full staff Zoom Teams session, but I still don't know what's going on. I need some info, which is exactly kind of this information here. So I deployed this person. I said, why don't you go and poke around like on YouTube and stuff and find some stuff. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of material out there that I've noticed that it has been put out by various individuals in different sessions over the last 3 years, but it's not collated anywhere. So what it meant was me going through like a 2-hour video and saying, hey, minute 27 to 35 gives you an overview of the community. they're on our wiki page. So I created a list of things and help the people who are really more peripheral to using the product. They're going to use it, but they're not going to be logging tickets and stuff. And help them give an overview, the council and stuff, even the different apps, without going into huge detail about how you attach an inventory item to a purchase order line or something. Like, they just need to know, there are apps. So there's that level of stuff. I think the other thing as well that we found as an institution as well, we've made this in help with others, is that rather than having everybody submit Jira tickets, maybe train one or two people and that you funnel all the stuff through them, because there's so much going on in the community and it's very hard to maintain up. And so we adopted that approach for us, and that's been better, particularly with regards to your thing. Can you reproduce it in Orchid or together which has been environments? And so that has been helpful. But I do think onboarding something like that maybe annually it gets checked, and maybe new people that have gone live can double check to see whether it's actually adequate and provide some commentary on that page. And there's probably 5 or 10 things we all need to learn, and maybe Anya is the person annually that does the update on that, or whatever it is, on a 5-minute session on other do this, other do that, whatever. I'm just slipping under.
Yeah, right.
It could be anybody. So I think that would be truly helpful. I think. I also think expecting people to suddenly figure Jira out. I mean, I love labels. I'm a Jira person. I've been using it since the early 2000s, just after they built the damn product. I don't love it that much, to be honest with you. But I understand it's very overwhelming. It's a very overwhelming product with different labels. And sometimes I actually forgot, okay, what team was it again? And am I allowed to put a label? Or, shouldn't I? Then, etc. So I think definitely some more guidance would be helpful. There are plugins that the community could decide to sponsor, which do help with easy ticket creation, that we could deploy as part of a Chrome plugin, and you get that, and it's got everything pre-filled into you, so a couple of options. Maybe that's something helpful for institutions that find Jira overwhelming. There's a random idea.
Yeah. So on the first point, I think that reaffirms that in a lot of cases, it's not that we need more content and more tutorials. We need more curation of all the stuff that's there. And I think we've all experienced that. Yeah. On creating Jiras, did want to point out the comment here in chat that there was an implementer SIG session on how do we use Jira, how do we do tickets. So that's on that list of places we can go to, as well as the session mentioned that is tomorrow at 11:30 in room 601, creating bugs and searching in Jira. So just so people know about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to, from our experience when we migrated, when we were getting all the overwhelming feedback from staff, is we created almost like an internal Jira system for our own staff to start reporting issues or nuanced behaviors that then everybody else supported each other on. And so it also gave us a way to prioritize particular issues that needed to be escalated for hand holding, right, from index data, or because admittedly it took me close to a year before I got comfortable enough to start searching the Jiras on support. But that was really helpful for staff to support each other. And then leaving the 2 or 3 people in our organization to be the gatekeepers of actual issues without overwhelming the end user who's already been overwhelmed too much by the FOLIO change.
So just looking in this room, I see about 5 libraries that have done something similar too, and that is, creating their own internal ticketing system and supporting each other, and before it gets to the community or to the hosting provider.
Can I ask you, how many tickets did you get in your computer remember? How many you got for that?
Well, we called it our FOLIO feedback, and we probably had 300 within the first month, because we also got staff reiterated feedback from the public as well. We're down to 12. Yeah.
I just think it's important to clarify that because we had 150 tickets within 10 days.
Yeah.
So just noting. Whilst we say that, it requires work to curate those tickets and go through then before you even want.
And what we did gain from it too was the staff already seeing that it's been reported.
Yes.
Right, and then they can upload it based on their perceived priority. And rather than creating 300 tickets for 100 items, right, then we have theory. It allowed for the staff to read it out on their own, you know.
So in your model, do you have a centralized folio group, like you have the ninja folio person that everybody knows that this is a team? Kind of. I think every organization sort of needs
Yeah,
that.
it does, and we have about 5 people who are the,
I mean, you can't say twice. The organization's very small.
yeah,
But that makes-
5 power users.
I mean, if you can, I don't know what you have in other organizations. We've streamed our support via our organizational IT support, so we created a brand new queue specifically for folio, but then going to stream to this ninja group, right?
Right.
Who then go through tickets and close it and provide the support. And that didn't mean we created a brand new system. We just piggybacked on something already existing rather than reinventing the wheel.
And then I think you generate local principles to that analysis to say, if it's one of these, we know that it's a training issue. If it's one of these, we know it's got to go back to the community. Those kind of things.
Yeah.
What else? Any other directions that we wanted to take with conversation?
Do you get many duplicates?
What's that?
There's reported bugs that are already here.
Yeah, certainly it does happen. I think the product owners are the best channels for that to kind of discern, is this really the same as the prior one, or is that a new one? I think we'll catch those occasionally that, oh, that does sound like something that's been reported before, and we'll add a note saying also this other institution is affected, and here's some more information from that second ticket.
So would you actually prefer to really try to find if it has already been reported, or just add? Because searching Jira is difficult.
Yeah. I wouldn't search through Jira if I was you. I probably would say, can I repeat this in a community environment? And if I can report it, I'm going to log the ticket because I've experienced it, and then allow the support SIG or the PIA to match it with the existing one. But I wouldn't search.
And Marie, if you test in FOLIO Snapshot, then you verify the bug in there, then it's still not solved.
Yeah.
So you are not, yeah, better, and that's also why we recommend use the sub ticket, because it's so much better to get it in than sit and wait and then hope someone else is reporting it, or think, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong with them. This staying silent. So get it on the dashboard and you can close it if it's good.
I'm another sort of question on the fact that, do you recommend, because I don't have this, but do you recommend, let's just say we've done it and I've figured out that, something wrong with inventory search, I know who the PO is.
Yeah.
Do you recommend before logging the ticket say, hey, like I go to Slack or something, and there's such a person directly saying, hey, let me see this issue before. Do you recommend doing it, or do you say, no, don't wait to typing it, just go create a ticket straight away and let them come in and manage it up?
I would, but then you can, but I would say go the normal way and find the ticket, because the PO, when she or he sees it, and she closes it, and then it's fine, all fine. But if you all day need to chase all kind of Slack channels, and you have all the Jira email notifications, and you are being almost called and pinged constantly, then you are chasing the problems constantly.
And also, I don't want to add to the PO's likely to be held up. Well, just trying to understand it.
Yeah.
I think you might get in faster, like depending on what it is.
Yeah.
It could go either way, but yeah, I think we try to keep the POs from having to deal with so much of that, especially as things kind of scale out, is probably the better.
You could ping the SIG or the community, but
Absolutely.
don't expect the PO to respond to you, and just say, you know, is anyone else experiencing this, or is it just me, or like, especially if you tested on like a community environment and it's not happening there, you're like.
I
what's
think-
happening? You know,
I think
those
that's a
types of
great
things.
point, yeah, because oftentimes, you know, I'll see something in the Slack channel and I know right away what it is and I'll respond. If I might not see it before, you know, someone else responds, that's fantastic.
And that's the way you can contribute as well, active participation, bringing it back.
Sometimes what I'll do is I'll write up in public ticket and I'm not sure if it's really a bug or if it was a app and looking to returns. I'll ping the save or the, directly. Well, I'll have a ticket in the back and so they'll answer within a day or two. I'll just follow along.
So to summarize, in case it's been a little quiet, the recommendation is to either go ahead and file a ticket or go to the SIG Slack channel and the PO will see it there, may see it there, may have a quick answer, rather than going to the PO directly. So that's a good point that we haven't heard much from the PO or developer perspective. Are there things like that you want us to know, things that we can handle differently, things that we should be thinking about from the support angle?
Who's the we here, Robert?
Who's the leader?
We.
Oh, who's the we?
Yeah.
We never did that.
Name your cat. The support SIG or the community?
Support SIG.
Name the cat.
Name the cat.
There are a couple things, from my perspective, and I know it's difficult, obviously, to get more information, and more oftentimes, every time I chat with somebody from the support SIG, I'm asking for more information, but the really key things would be the reproduction and the steps to reproduce it. And if you can capture some video, like a screencast or something, it just gives us so much more to go from that we may be able to resolve things without having to get into your environment to verify what's happening, which could save lots of time. So having a screenshots can help, but if you can do a screencast, that's amazing. And the steps, just having the steps be clear. The second thing would be when you're setting the priority of things, to give as much detail as possible as to why you're seeing the priority that way. Because when we have to turn around and submit approval, we basically need to provide that support. And as a PO, and other POs, I think, would be in a similar situation where it's ultimately we're relying on you to tell us why it's critical. I don't want to invent a reason why the thing is needed. So yeah, the more detail we have about that, the easier it is for us to get things approved.
And use a supporter as voice group.
Yeah, it's true. But describing why.
Yeah.
Not to say just how critical it is, but to describe your little bit of your logic. As to why, because it's helpful in that context.
So we've got these layers, we're like pushing a chain, right? That we're each trying to reach somebody on the far end. So basically, you out there that are going to open tickets know that we are going to say, oh, but which version of FOLIO are you on? And what's the timestamp for that transaction? And what, just all of those details. And can you send us a video? If you're doing that, we'll be ready to do that. We'll be ready to justify for the POs so that they don't have to ask us to ask you. And I think that's pretty clear.
And maybe some type of template for capturing prioritization feedback, because a lot of the times we're asking similar questions. Is it frequently impacting you? How does it impact business? Is it costing you money? Is it costing you time? All those things.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just some kind of standard template for that.
One site that does prioritization, submitted tickets at this point.
We do.
To make sure that the criteria for whether this can be included.
We don't do that. No.
So the list I showed with the 5 bullet points about example, if it is involving money, then it indicates to us this is more serious. But it's also very helpful if the library who is reporting it says this is a daily issue for me, or this is happening twice a month. That helps too, because we also need to have some information to put it, but we always tag the PO to see if we are thinking the same, are we aligned on the prioritization, and if the PO think now you are putting it too high, then it is the PO's say in that matter.
Yeah, or we may find, we might be able to identify what the root cause is and what the workaround is, which could, once you know how to get around it, maybe that changes the priority of it. So
this
staff along.
the support SIG does not validate your issue. Right? You don't go back and try to retest what you're submitting. We're taking it at face value that what you have submitted, you have verified so that we can push it along. We're just the traffic cops on this adventure.
That's kind of an important point. State.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When we support our 62 libraries, we go in and test it.
Correct.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have a 10 to 60-minute meeting on a given day. We have to verify that it has the right project, it has the right PO assigned, the right priority assigned, which also takes a lot of time. So when it gets to the community, when you create that ticket, we need the folks, those FOLIO ninjas, to have tested it.
I would also say there's a kind of, we are the ambassadors for the libraries. So if you have found a bug, you have tested it in your own environment, you have tested in for snapshot or bugfest orchid, or then we believe that this is a bug, and then we take your word. Okay.
And to clarify that, she was just even saying that the following dev environments is, a lot of time in the prompts. It's very difficult to test them in that environment because the settings aren't the same in the production environment. It doesn't have the same data in it. So, for instance, like we're having an issue with the import in our production environment. If I go into Bugfest, it might work fine, but it's because of the differences between our production environment and the test environment. So I think asking the support group to do that testing, they would do so much setup and that. I see where you're coming from. Yeah. It doesn't help weed out like things that aren't bugs. I think that's also true where the POs come in because they know the system and they can look at a ticket and be like, this is actually more of a workflow issue. And then they can just find it down. Yeah.
I would just, and I don't know if I'm going to be heard on the mic, but just to piggyback a little bit of what Thomas was saying. I mean, I think another important thing to note is one other crucial way that you can support the community is, and it's very difficult to do this and we're all very thinly stretched, but, if you have those FOLIO ninjas, if there is someone who can carve out time to serve as a PO, it really feels to me like the lack of POs is a real stress and bottleneck on FOLIO. Because again, it's the POs who will be able to go in and clearly identify, is this a duplicate? Is this something that can be reproduced? Who is the right team to do this kind of work? I mean, I don't want to speak for the support SIG.
Yeah, I think POs could be much more responsive if there were more. I agree. So really great general discussion. We may not have time for Q&A at the end. We're about down to 8 or 10 minutes left. So there is a bit more that will continue on.
Oh, this is my slide. So we want you to attend our meeting on Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. UTC. It's also 7 a.m. Pacific. That's the time zone I'm in. So just showing you that I'm committed. But you can also follow our discussions on the Support SIG channel. So it is called Support-SIG. There is also a channel labeled Support. If you go there, you're talking to devs. All right. So, if you don't want to talk to devs because you want to talk in, normal language about workflow, come to the support SIG and leave the devs to themselves. But if you're wondering why people aren't answering you on just support, that's why, because they're like, who is this person talking normal to us? All right. So all are welcome. Right now, our active participants is EBSCO, Index Data, Cornell, and we have another active participant from Stanford and UMS systems, so U Missouri systems. We have very little else participation from the rest of the community. There are over 100 libraries that are live on Folio. We need some voices here, people. So if you want us to help set why we're setting this on this, being able to note who is affected by what, we need your participation. Have I clobbered you enough? Okay. So literally though, for the most part, our meetings are about 10 to 15 minutes long. They've been a little bit longer these last couple months because we've been working on presentations and what do we need to do and how are we going to set up this new dashboard. Okay, but it's not that much of a commitment of time from that. Now we do talk a lot on the Support SIG channel, and I would love for that to continue. All right, how libraries can benefit. Now Tom's going to talk to us from Cornell.
And there's only 7 minutes left, so I can go through 3 slides very quickly. But I will say that I haven't been on the support SIG that much. I filled in for Deborah when she was on vacation last week while she was teaching a course, but it is actually a lot of fun. And they don't really take that long. Some of the benefits are you kind of see what's new and ongoing issues at my infrastructure institution. I know there's a few issues that popped up that I didn't even know about because it came through this. So that's actually really important if you want to keep eyes on what's going on. Potential workarounds are also identified within this group. So that's, again, useful, something that I can bring back to my institution. And then who I can contact at other institutions that might be having a similar issue that I'm having. So is Lehigh having the same issue? Is not Duke. It's having the same issue, but never mind that one. So different people I can ask David if he's having the same issue. We can help with the prioritization of issues. As Anya pointed out and Ashla pointed out, the different criteria that we have for the prioritization of issues. Sometimes just having a human voice at the table saying, no, you don't understand. This is driving technical services nuts. I'm getting a message every hour. You please fix the sort column on this field. Having that voice at the table really does help, especially it comes out a little bit clearer sometimes. Involves SMEs and others that can lead to a better resolution. Sometimes there's other experts at the table that can help you out. And then also refine the SIG strategy, procedures, and communication to help aspects of you need to help better serve your needs. All in all, again, like it goes back to the original title. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. If you're not participating, you don't know what's going on, and it just leads to a negative experience. And in general, what are the benefits of Folio? What's the benefits of this whole project? It's open source. It's breaking free from vendor dependencies, which is phenomenal. It helps lower costs long term. There's a community. Everyone in this room is part of that community. And actually, it's really great to see people that I only see photos of on Slack, seeing them in person. But it's nice being part of a community. I learn a lot from the community, especially when I'm in SIGs and that. There's different workflows that other institutions use that I've been able to take back and give to Cornell and that. So that is really, really the biggest selling point of this. You get a better patron experience because you have a system that you can customize for your needs. You have a system that's a little bit more flexible. And then cost savings through partnerships. So that's it. We have 5 minutes left for questions. I think everyone was asking questions on the first break.
Any other questions or comments?
One quick thing that I think things come up that I relate also to the need for better folio documentation. There is a folio documentation working group that's having a session on Thursday afternoon. So if that's something you're interested in, especially if you have feedback on how the current documentation could be improved, please consider going to that session.
Thanks. I just want to say thanks for attending the meeting before 5 in such great numbers. This is beautiful.
And
And lots of jet lag. Yeah. Thank you.